Hey guys, it's Viva and today I'm going to be doing my summer book haul. So these are the books that I've bought between the beginning of July and sort of now, I guess. Apologise for the falling books in the background, it's just because I've taken the books out that used to be there. It's annoying me, but I'm going to try not to look at it. The first book that I bought was Every Day by David Levithan. This was recommended to me by a friend. It's basically about this, I don't know if I can call it a person really, but this being called A, who inhabits different bodies every day and he never knows which body he's going to live in. So he lives in it for a day and then moves on to the next body and just tries not to draw too much attention to himself. So he has a sort of motto that's like, don't get too attached to anyone, which is fine until he meets this girl called Rhiannon, and it's basically, I think, about how he's shifting from person to person but trying to get back to her. So I'm really interested to see how this book turns out. Second book is Second Chance Summer by Morgan Matson. Now I love Morgan Matson. I read Since You've Been Gone and Amy and Roger's Epic Detour and I absolutely love them to bits. So I was really excited when I bought this book. So it's about this girl called Taylor Edwards whose dad receives some devastating news which sort of shakes their family, who aren't very close to begin with. So they decide to spend the last summer at an old lake house. So they're not very close, like I said, but at the lake house, because it's in such close quarters, they start getting to know each other again. Her best friend is still around and her ex-boyfriend, who apparently turns out to be quite attractive, is there as well. It's a second chance with, I think it was family, friends and love. I've read some reviews on Goodreads and it doesn't sound as light and fun as Since You've Been Gone, but neither was Amy and Roger's Epic Detour, I wouldn't say. It was very enjoyable, but Since You've Been Gone was just amazing. Love it. So yeah, again, really excited to read this book and I love the cover so much, and the blurb is written like a postcard. So yeah, I just love all of Morgan Matson's books. The next book is My Sister Lives on the Mantelpiece by Annabelle Picture. I read Ketchup Clouds during the Booktubeathon and I absolutely loved it. So this book is about this little boy called Jamie who is struggling to cope with some kind of loss in the family, and he didn't cry when the thing happened. Then, skipping forward 5 years, his father drinks, his mother's gone, and he's still trying to make sense of the loss that tore his family apart. I was thinking maybe it's his sister that's died or something, because then she'd be on the mantelpiece, like as a picture. I don't know, just interpreting. And this is really exciting. I ordered this book from Amazon, or was it eBay? I think it might have been eBay actually, and it's signed, which was awesome. Look at that. It is signed to someone called Celia, and I'm not Celia, but still, it's signed. So that was cool. And it has a little quote on the front from David Tennant saying that he couldn't put this book down, so he had to record it. The next book that I bought is The Accident by C.L. Taylor. This is quite a different genre, it's thriller, and I've not really ventured into that genre before, so I'm quite excited to read this book. It's supposed to be very intriguing and it has many plot twists. It was compared to Gone Girl, which I haven't read, it's on my TBR. And so I don't know what it's going to be like. So it's about this lady called Sue Jackson, whose daughter, Scarlet, steps in front of a bus deliberately and is now in a coma. Sue retraces Charlotte's steps and finds her diary and is quite shocked to see how much she doesn't know about her daughter, but then there's a lot that Charlotte doesn't know about her mum as well, apparently, and Sue just doesn't trust anyone of Charlotte's friends anymore because after reading her diary, some things that have been uncovered are just a bit too much for her. I'm not really sure where this is going, but it's supposed to be very fast-paced and interesting. So yes, I'm guessing it wasn't deliberate that she stepped into a bus or she was forced to do it or something like that. But yeah, quite excited to read a different genre. The next book is a non-fiction book. I'm reading this because I'm quite interested in urology and I'm doing an EPQ, which is an extended project qualification on Alzheimer's disease, so I thought reading this book would be quite helpful. It's The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat by Oliver Sacks, who recently died, which is sad. J.K. Rowling tweeted about it. But yeah, that's sad. But it's basically a lot of case of his patients who are lost in like a bizarre world of neurological disorders, and so they have lost memories, Alzheimer's disease, no recognition, that kind of thing. I've started this book actually. I'm not got very far, but the first case that I read was about this man who mistook his wife for a hat, so he has no recognition of things. The doctor, so Oliver Sacks, presented him with a rose and he couldn't identify what it was. He described it as a green long stalk with red abstract shaped things, and then the doctor told him to sniff it and he was like, oh, it's a rose. So strange. The next book is The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey. I have read this, but I just wanted a physical copy of it, and also it was £2 from the works, so I was like, I have to pick this up. I do love this a lot. It's about an alien invasion, so again, at the time it was something completely different. I hadn't read any alien books before, and it follows the story of this girl called Cassie, who is amongst the few humans left in the world after the aliens have taken over the human bodies, and she's trying to find her brother because he was taken by these alien people who they call the Others, and she feels that staying alone is her best chance of surviving until she meets Evan Walker, who helps her to find her brother, and it's being turned into a film which comes out in January. Yeah, already read this but felt the need to buy it. The next book that I bought was again a non-fiction neurological book, again for my EPQ, and it's The Private Life of the Brain by Susan Greenfield. Now this one is slightly different. I don't think it's as in a storytelling sort of narration. I think it's just more of effects of different neurological disorders and drugs and injuries and things like that. So again, non-fiction. I don't really read many non-fiction books, so it's going to be interesting. The last books that I bought, one of them I won in a competition, but The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. I've been looking forward to reading these books for so long, and they're finally here, but I was waiting for Cinder to arrive, and then I started another book just while I was waiting, so now I have to finish that book before I can start, which is annoying, but still looking forward to it. So Cinder, it's about humans and androids in New Beijing. There's a plague that's sort of killing off a lot of the population, I think, and there are lunar people who are looking down on the Earth from space. Now, it follows the story of Cinder, who is a mechanic and also a cyborg, which is interesting. I think the reason why it's Cinder, and it's sort of at the back it says, this is not the fairy tale you remember, but it's one you won't forget. And why it's compared to a fairy tale, I think, is probably because she has a stepmum who hates her, and she was blamed for her stepsister's illness. So I think the sort of vague storyline is still there of Cinderella. Cinder meets Prince Kai, I think it's Kai, and then finds herself in the middle of an intergalactic struggle. She must uncover secrets of her past in order to save her future. So it sounds so interesting, and I cannot wait to read this book. So naturally, the second book that I bought was Scarlet, which is the second book in the Lunar Chronicles. So in this book, Cinder is brought back, so it's not separate stories. Cinder is brought back and it's all sort of one story going into the other. And Cinder is trying to escape from a prison, apparently. Halfway across the world is Scarlet, whose grandmother has gone missing. Apparently she doesn't know a lot about her grandmother and the fact that she's been in grave danger practically all of her life. So that's quite, I don't know why. Scarlet encounters Wolf, who is a street fighter. Red Riding Hood, the Wolf, yeah. So the Wolf may have information about the grandma, so they start to work together to find Scarlet's grandma. They meet Cinder. So they must stay ahead of the Lunar Queen Levana, I think that's how you say her name, who wants to marry Prince Kai so he can be her husband, her king, and her prisoner. So, evil queen alert. Third book in the Lunar Chronicles series is Kress. So this is Rapunzel. I'm kind of confused. Cinder is in Cinderella, Scarlet is in Red, so for Red Riding Hood, but why Kress for Rapunzel? If someone could explain this to me, I'd be very grateful, because it's been bugging me for a while. If it's obvious and I'm just being stupid, then sorry, but still, please leave a comment below if you do know why it's called Kress. So, in this book, Cinder and Captain Thorn are fugitives and they are on the run, along with Scarlet and Wolf. So those four are plotting to overthrow Queen Levana and her army. All their hopes apparently lie with Kress, who is a girl imprisoned on a satellite for her entire life, and apparently the only company that she's had is her net screens, so she's a brilliant hacker. Unfortunately, Kress receives orders from the Queen to track down Cinder. So Cinder, Captain Thorn, Scarlet and Wolf try to rescue Kress, but in the process they get separated. It's basically up to Kress, Scarlet and Cinder to save the world. They are the only hope, apparently. Very excited to read this. I think the 4th book in the series, called Winter, so Snow White, comes out later this year, so hopefully I'll have finished these 3 by then. So yeah, this is my first book haul video that I've done, which was really exciting. I hope you liked the books that I showed you, and yeah, if you like this video then give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys!